Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me today. So hopefully you have seen the rest of this series today. This is day 5 of increasing enrollment at your child care center. And I do have to start with an apology. This week has kind of been a little crazy for me. So the seminar hasn't gone quite the way it has in the past. Doing something like this the week before Christmas makes it a little bit hectic. So thank you for joining me anyway. Give me a hashtag replay if you're watching the replay. Let me know you're there. Say hello. I love the interaction. Feel free to ask questions. So today is the last day of the series. I will be doing this series again a couple times next year, and I promise next time it will be better. It usually is a lot better, but it's been a hectic week for me, and I've definitely just been dealing with some narcolepsy flare-ups, and so it's definitely gone different than the way it usually goes for me. But thank you for joining me anyway. Again, my name is Evelyn Knight. If you haven't checked out my podcast yet, check it out. It's the Childcare Business Coach podcast. So just to recap what we've been talking about this week and the different pillars we've gone into, and don't mind me while I look down at my notes. We're talking about increasing enrollment in your child care center, and just what does it take to really just build that enrollment, and even better yet, in really building your wait list, right? Once you get that enrollment up, you want to keep that enrollment up, and then you want to build a wait list so that you don't ever have to really fight for enrollment. And so really the goal too is so that word of mouth really starts taking over and just fueling that fire. It's awesome when that happens. So going over the pillars, your pillars, knowing your business is the first pillar. Really knowing what makes you unique, your vision, what sets you apart, right? Who is your target market, and what is that grand vision of yours? I have a lot of information on vision. So again, check out my podcast, some of these videos. I have lots of videos in this group under the media section. I'm sure I've dealt with vision. I understand that vision is the absolute foundation piece, so I do talk about it a lot. The next one is your online and your phone presence. Just being present, knowing that these are the first lines of communication. Everybody nowadays, when you need to find something, right? No matter what it is, if you need a chiropractor, what is the first thing we do? We take out our phones, right? And we Google search. That is what we do. We Google search in our telephones. So that's something to really think about, as if that's how everybody does it. You need to be the first one to come up in a Google search, right? You need to be the one they click on. And when they click on your name, you got to have that professional image. How is your website? How is your social media? Are you coming up first? Are you utilizing all the free resources up there to make sure that you're ranking number 1? Okay, how is your SEO? Very, very important. That was day 2, and pillar 2, being found. And then once they find you, what is your phone presence like? Is all your staff that answers the phone, are they trained on how to properly answer the phone, so that you know that your best foot is always pushed forward, right? Very important. Hi, Melody. I see you just popped on. Number 3 is your professional persona. Are you always coming through in a professional manner? What impression are you leaving all the time, right? It's kind of your brand too. If people are talking about your center around town, what kind of things are they saying? What is your reputation like? What do things look like? So very important to think about that also. And let's see, pillar yesterday was always being tour ready. So we really dived into the tour yesterday, and I explained that, just making sure your staff is trained, that you know what points to hit when it comes to the tour, and also just being just always prepared and having that open door policy so the parents know that they're always welcome in your center. If you haven't already, be sure to download the workbook. This is my copy here that I use as my outline for teaching you guys. That's what I follow along with. At the end of the workbook, if you haven't been there yet, there is a sample phone script. It's what you can use to give anybody who answers the phone when it comes to tours. So at the end of the workbook, which if you don't know where to find the workbook, go to the unit section in this Facebook group. Under the units, there's a unit that's the proven preschool enrollment formula, or I might have titled it increasing enrollment in your preschool. The workbook will be in that unit there. So you can download it, print it, fill it out, make sure to go through these videos, fill it out. It'll help you really work through this, really just create this process and have that groundwork for a really strong enrollment process and procedures, just getting those people in. If you've been watching my videos, you know I use very little advertising. I've paid very, very little for advertising, and I've been able to get my center to a 300 child wait list. So that's just using these basic principles, and it really did not take a whole lot of advertising. I do a lot of word of mouth, so a lot of me going out and talking to people in the beginning. One of the things I did too early on was I got these little business cards, just blank business cards made for my staff, where they could write their names in on it, and if they would go around meeting people, talking to them, giving them the card, and that person came and signed up, I would give them $50 after the first month of enrollment, right? So not only was I going out there and talking to people and meeting it and making a personal connection, because personal connections are so very important. I train my staff to do the same thing. And I train them just like I'm training you guys. Go out there, find something to compliment, find a child, right? And even if it's with the grandparents become excellent customers. Find something to compliment about the child that is sincere and authentic, right? Always be sincere and authentic. Give them that compliment, and then, you know, strike up a conversation. And at the end of the conversation, oh, by the way, I am the owner of Zoom Around Preschool here in town. If you need anything, you know, if you're ever thinking about childcare, here's my card. Give us a call, come and check us out. Same thing if you're a director. I'm the director, here's my card, come and check us out. If you're a teacher, I'm a teacher, I would love to see your child there. Here's my card, come and check us out, right? When you have a lot of people just going around talking, that personal connection goes so far. So something to utilize, right? It absolutely works really well. The phone script that's in the workbook, you can adapt that to a script that you can help your staff use around town. There's basic principles in there that just last no matter what. And so like, for example, using their name. What is your child's name? What is your name? Making sure you make it personal by using each other's names. That helps tremendously. Hi, Angela. I see you just popped on there. So those are really great ways to make it personal. And I'm going to watch in here again, guys, because for some reason all week long, none of your comments have been popping up on my screen like they should. So I am looking at my phone, which just decided to die on me, to make sure that I can keep up with your guys' comments. That way I don't miss anything in case you have questions. And if I'll keep trying to remember, but sometimes I forget to check. So I will try. So the other thing this week, so today we are going to talk about follow-up. And I was telling you guys, follow-up is probably the key to all of, like, the most important part. Your professional persona is very important. Being found is very important. But this is the game changer. And it's the game changer because only 3% of childcare centers in the nation are doing this part. Usually parents come to tour and there is no follow-up, no contact afterwards, right? So that is where so many centers are dropping the ball. So if you really just kind of do the rest of this, but go and all in on the follow-up, you're going to see a major change. But before I get into the follow-up, I do want to talk to you guys a little bit about my membership. As you know, I am if you've watched these videos, you know I'm the CEO and founder of Childcare Business Professionals, which is a consulting and education company that helps childcare owners and directors or aspiring owners learn how to run a business. I was once upon a time a director, a teacher. I've done everything in a childcare center. I've done every job. And I was a mom. You know, I started out as a mom and I became an owner. And I thought, you know, I've been working in this field for years. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. I can do this. I can be an owner, right? My husband has tons of management business experience and business experience. Oh, it's going to be a piece of cake. Boy, was I wrong. Was I wrong? I see it all the time. I've had so many clients and I see it all the time, and I've been contracted so many different times to go rescue centers that are basically failing. And it always, 90% of the time, comes down to the same thing. We are not business people in this industry. We are moms, we are teachers, we are directors. We are not business people. And then we go in and we own these centers, not knowing how to run a business and not even wanting to think of it as a business, but they are businesses. And in order for you to have a successful center, you need to know how to run a business. So that's where my company comes in. I help coach you, and we help coach you. I'm not the only one in there doing the work, but we help to coach you on how to run a successful business. The other thing I see a lot of is business owners who are not, they're business people, but they've never been in our industry and they don't know childcare. I see this actually more often, believe it or not, than I see people with experience. Well, I should say I used to. So before I got into this business, one of the way I've acquired my last two centers that I purchased was because of people who did know business. They became center owners, but they knew nothing about the childcare industry. So they were going bankrupt both times. They thought because they knew how to run businesses, they thought because they knew business, they could run a childcare center, but childcare is a unique industry. We are very unique. So both those two last centers I purchased it from people who were going bankrupt, who thought this would be an industry to be an easy industry, right? Like, oh, I'll do a childcare center. Look at what they charge. They must make a killing. Had no idea what it's like to run a center. Had no idea the overhead. So both of those owners ended up facing bankruptcy, and I just came in, took over the centers, and saved them from basically filing bankruptcy, and pretty much got a deal on the centers and was able to turn them into successful centers. So I was once an owner too. If you've watched me for a while, you know that things got very bad for me. Very, very bad. I was a failing owner. One day I came in to find an eviction notice on my center's door. My landlords were evicting me, and I had a 72-hour notice, but I was able to file a court injunction that I was able to win, and I did stay. And I ended up being able to basically come up. I turned the business around. I realized quickly that if I was going to make this work, I not only needed the education in the childcare industry, but I also needed to know how to be a business person. I needed to know how to run a business. I needed to know how to manage my books. I needed to know how to make those tough decisions. I needed to learn how to think like an owner, not just a director. And I also needed to learn just basic business practices, how to deal with staff, how to train, how to coach, how to mentor, how to deal with parents, to raise my rates, what is reasonable, what isn't, just sticking by my guns. There's so much, you guys, so much to running a business. And I see so many owners failing because they don't have these things in place. So I decided to start this company where I could help bring owners the knowledge that I was lacking once. I know how painful it is to be out there on your own and watch your business just crumble. I mean, it's like I used to laugh that this is like my third child. I put so much into it, of me, into the center, and just to watch it almost go away, right? And if I can save just one owner from that pain, I have basically fulfilled my mission. If you can take what I have learned and bypass all the years of pain and financial loss that I had to go through in order to get there, just why go through it? Why go through it yourself when you can just take what I know, what I've learned, and apply it to your business? I lost last time my husband and I really looked, we were probably at the $1 million mark of losses early on, up to about 7 years ago, before I decided to seek out this knowledge. So I've hired a business coach myself. I have 2 coaches. I have a financial coach and a business coach. I will always have somebody coaching me who is a level above me, right? Business wise, I will always, because I just realize the value. Why should I go and explore, try to reinvent the wheel when someone else has already got a method out there that's successful, right? I might as well use a successful method instead, which is why I have a couple business coaches, and I will always try to level up by going and finding someone who is level up for me. And that's what I try to do for those of you who are really just starting out and just need to get to that next level. I try to be that coach for you guys. So if you're interested in that, I will be putting in the Facebook page a link to book a consultation with me. I would be more than happy to talk to you guys and just free up some time and chat and see if my membership is something that is useful for you. I have 3 levels of memberships. My first level is where you're a basic member, and my membership has lots of pre-recorded training classes. I have a ton of training classes that you can take that really start that foundation to your center. And then every Tuesday, I'm live on Zoom doing trainings. On Wednesday, we usually have a special type of training coming up. And then on Thursday, I have open office hours. So I am just logged onto Zoom, and my members can jump on and off at any time to ask me questions and pick my brain. They don't have to be there the whole hour that I'm live. And I am actually adding one more day to my open office hours. But you can just come in and out and just pick my brain, ask me questions. A lot of my members will just come online and just sit and watch and wait so that they can just chat with each other. It is awesome when I have these like just high level owners and directors in this group, and we just have these group discussions, and anybody can jump in and ask questions, and everybody just kind of helps out in answering them. And like they say too, it's like, well, somebody might come up with a question that I didn't know I had, so I might as well listen. So it's my favorite. Open office hours are my favorite. I love getting into those group discussions and just meeting with other owners and directors, and sometimes we just vent, right? Because we're all in this together. So it's just nice to have that weekly time, and if you can't make it every week, that's fine. Just knowing that I'm available for questions and answers. That's one of my main goals, and we are adding another day of the week. I'm also adding more coaches in 2021 with different expertise so that it can just be a one-stop shop. Christine Mailer, who is my financial advisor, she's actually going to be doing open office hours in our group once a month. So I think that is going to be so exciting, where you guys will be able to hop on and ask her for guidance with your financial issues once a month. She'll be on for the group. And so that is my basic membership. With my next level membership, you do get access to me one-on-one. So you don't have to go into the open office meetings in order to ask me questions. You'll get a 30-minute call with me every other week where we will go through your specific issues. So you just get access to me one-on-one. My last level of coaching, you will get access to me weekly for an hour a week, and you also get access to my director who will train your director. So that's usually an owner track where you'll get access to me every week, and you'll also get access to my director, but you get access to my director every other week, not weekly. For her, it's every other week for 30 minutes, but she will actually train your director. So one of the things Brady and I do, her and I have had to learn how to work as owner and director together. And as the owner, I wore both hats once. And I really had to learn how to separate the hats. It's very hard to separate hats of owner and director. But I learned the hard way that you have to do it. You have to know when you're the owner, and you have to know when you're the director. And the two roles are very different. So I was able to train Brandy on how to be the director. And since her and I have gone through this process, we now help owners and directors learn how to work together, learn how to come to a common place, communicate, and really just understand each other. So Brady will train your director, and I'll help train you. as the owner. So that is my highest level of membership. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to DM me, ask in the chat here. I'm more than happy to answer your guys' questions. Or if you know that you really just want to chat with me about this and see if it's for you, I will be adding the link to my calendar to the page, and you can just schedule a consultation with me directly, and we will have a phone conversation about my membership, and you can ask me questions and see if that's something for you. So getting back to the follow-up, we'll be going into today the follow-up of like after the tour's done, after they found you. How are you going to make sure that you stay in the forefront of this person's mind, right? Or this family's mind? It takes a person 6 months before they're going to make a buying decision most of the time, okay? So parents usually are going to start thinking about child care 6 months before they actually take the dive and sign up their child. So the first time they tour, they may just be thinking and considering, right? So they may not be ready to sign up. Now, a lot of times they are. A lot of times they have a job, or their babysitter is canceling on them and they have no choice. But most of the time, and it might just be at the phone call stage, it may not be even the tour, right? But there's moms out there who are just thinking, maybe I need to go back to work. And so I'm going to call around and just start getting an idea. From thought to final decision it normally takes 6 months. But these people are actually looking you up, they're looking at your website, they're answering, calling you, and they're doing the tour in that 6-month period. So it's very important for us to stay on the forefront of these people's minds from day one. We need to make sure that we are following up. You don't want to be the one they forget, okay? When they go to make that final decision, you want to stay on their mind. So at this point, you should have already created a wonderful experience for this family. They should have already seen your website, which is professional and looks great. They should have already been on the phone with you, and they should have already done a tour, right? Normally. You might have already just gotten to the phone, maybe not the tour, okay? So that's why I highly encourage getting all their data and demographics during the phone call. But the tour, absolutely, you want to gather their phone, their address and everything, email, whatever. And when you're doing the follow-up can be done by email. I recommend to utilize every method you can. If you really think about how each of us communicate, we're in a day and age where everybody has a different form of communication. I know at my center, we send things home in print. We use the Hi Mama app. We use text messaging and email. So 4 different lines of communication, because what we have found is that not everybody's communicating the same way. When we used to send letters home on paper, people would just throw them in their back seat and never read it. When we just emailed, they wouldn't check their email. They would just scroll through. That's how I am. I just scroll through my emails. I don't open them, right? Unless it's somebody I know and I specifically need to. Otherwise, I assume it's spam. Some people like social media. So that's actually the 5th way. We post things on our Facebook group that's for families only. Some people like the texting, right? So unfortunately, we live in a day and age that there's so many different forms of communication. We have to be utilizing all of them in order to be successful. Now, we cannot, most of the time, a lot of you guys aren't going to have access to text messaging. Some of you guys do. It's actually a great way to do it. But text messaging is a wonderful way of communicating. But you may not be able to do it, right? If you can, fantastic. So what I really do recommend, though, is sending out email and print. Those are very good ways to make sure that you're staying on their mind. So I would definitely do the email and the print. One of the things I like to do the day after the tour is make a phone call, though. Call the family and just say, hi, how are you? This is so-and-so for me, it would be, this is Evelyn from Zoom Around Preschool. I hope you guys are doing great. How is little Emily doing today? Did she enjoy seeing my center? Are there any questions that you have for me that you didn't think about yesterday? I'd be more than happy to answer. And then just do that touch point follow-up, right? The following week, you want to mail a postcard. Thank you for visiting the center. Just remind them that you're there. So the day after, you're going to make a phone call. The following week, you're going to mail a postcard. Okay. Then after that, what I like to do is just have a newsletter. And it doesn't have to be anything really elaborate. It could just be find an article, go on the 0 to 3 website or the NEUIC website for parents or the Childcare Aware website. Find some good articles. Another one that's excellent is Vanderbilt University's website for early childhood education. They have a backpack series that's really, really good. Or the Pyramid Model has a backpack series of articles. Just send a quick email out to the parents, and you can start a mass email marketing that just is, hi, this is zooming around preschool, sending just some helpful information. We found this article, loved it, thought we would send it out to the parents in our lives. Here you go. Doesn't have to be anything huge, just something very helpful. Again, one of my theories is to always come from a place of service, right? I always try to make sure I come from a place of service. So it's like, oh, here's an article on potty training. I'm going to send this out. And just sending that out, right? And I also like to send it out in print. So after that initial meeting, once a month, we're going to send something out to the parents. And something that's useful and something that is just maybe entertaining. It doesn't have to be too personal. I do recommend sometime like in the 3 and 6 month mark to send something personal. Absolutely. Use the child's name, use your name, write a card, something, type out, and then send it, via snail mail is really nice, or an email. But before that, while you're doing the monthly newsletters, it could just be anything. What your goal is to make sure that you are staying in the forefront of the parent's mind. You want to be front and center. When they think of childcare, you want to be what they think of first. That's what you're doing. They're seeing your logo every month. They're hearing from you every month, right? They're building that relationship basically with you every month because you're reaching out to them every single month. So when they are ready, you're the first one who's going to be on their mind. They're also going to remember and realize, wow, they're the only ones who really followed up. Sorry guys, I'm starting to get a little scratchy, so gotta make sure I take care of that throat. Sinuses in this area are crazy right now. But they're really just, parents will notice that. I know I do, right? If I go and tour, actually I went a few years back, it was quite a few years back, and looked at a bunch of houses with my sister. And we looked at brand new locations, and they gather your name and address. And I remember there was only one that really followed up at all. And that was a big deal to me. It just shows that they are a more organized and professional organization. And people are going to judge you on that. So follow-up. Create a follow-up plan. I cannot tell you how important it is, because only 3% of childcare centers are following up at all. So if you follow up, you're going to stay on the radar. That also leads me to talking about branding. That is a form of branding. Branding is very, very important. When you're doing this, you're helping to control the narrative of what is going around about your center. You're really helping to control your reputation, right? So whenever you send, you really want to make sure it sends the message you want it to send. It's showing your brand. So your logo's on everything. It's on clean paper. It's well organized, well written, and it's useful. So this is a way that you're really leaving that image. At the beginning of the week, I told you to imagine a couple of moms playing at the park together, and one of them, just says, I'm looking for childcare for my son. What do you know about the local childcare centers? What do you want these people to say about your center? That is the image you want to start portraying. And you intentionally want to send materials out, or just anything that you're sending out, whatever you're writing, whatever you're putting out there, that helps with that narrative, right? So these moms that are at the park might say, oh, that center, they're just really helpful, and they just really love and nurture children. right? So like that for me is a very important quality, is high quality and nurturing. Those are my two big things in my center. I want to be known as the highest quality center in the area. And I also want to be known as a loving, nurturing childcare center, that our environment is so loving and nurturing, right? So everything I send out, I want to associate that way. And when I do send reminders out that we are the only 4-star center within, within like 3 counties around me. My childcare center is the only 4-star center. So I'll say things like, did you know that the local pre-K program is only at 2.5 stars and Zoo and Around's pre-K program is 4 stars. I will say things like that just to really just illustrate that this is it, so you're sending that message constantly, quality, quality. And then of course something that's nurturing and loving, right? Because that is really the key to all of it when you're working with children. So I make sure that whatever we're sending out, the message that we're sending is going to reinforce that. It's really reinforcing what I want people to see my center as, and what we fight and work so hard to achieve. So I hope that makes sense to everybody. But again, I'm going to just double check here for comments from you guys. Let's see. Samantha, I like this. Yes. Well, I'm glad, Samantha, that you like those key points. Thank you. So it's just really, really important for us to just do that follow-up. And I really don't even need to tell you guys too much about it, because as long as you get a good follow-up campaign. And let me tell you too, one of the things you can do, if you use a program like MailChimp or ConvertKit is never the really good one, really cheap. I think MailChimp is free up to so many names. You can put email campaigns out there that basically send the same thing every month, right? So like, for example, if you have a family come in, you enter them in the system, and you tell MailChimp, or I use ConvertKit, so I'm a little bit more familiar with it. You just say something like, month 1, this is the newsletter I'm going to send. It'll send every family the same, but it is, by the way, email. It's an email campaign. Every family will get the same email on month 1, right? So it'll be the same content. So if it's just like a welcome and thank you for touring my center, it actually times it based on the how long that person has been in your system. Okay, so you can actually, they're called evergreen mail campaigns, and so you know that at month 1 they're going to get this email, so on and so on and so on, right? So you can have these email campaigns created, and it's not like you have to do a new one every month. Once you create them, they're done. So for me, I've just created, and it just, like, everybody at the first, second, third, it just keeps going, same thing. So when you get to a certain point, it just cycles through, right? I really highly recommend keeping names for 5 years. I know that sounds crazy, right? I'm like, I'm going to follow up with these people for 5 years. Maybe not snail mail. Maybe use something like ConvertKit or MailChimp. There's also Active Contact, which is that might be a little much for this industry. I use it for my other business, but for childcare, probably a little bit much. But because eventually you will have your 5 years of content written, right? And it will automatically be done for you. You're not going to have to keep doing it over. After the first year, I don't always, unless you want to, you can absolutely still send monthly newsletters to families for 5 years. But after like the first year, we only do quarterly. So instead of 12 times, it's only 4 times. So it's not as bad as you think in create the content creation. Okay, not too bad. But let me go into the reason why you want to do this for 5 years. So let's say a family tours you and they do choose a competitor. What if they're not happy with the competitor 2 years from now, right? Let's say they were 1 or an infant. 2 years from now, they're suddenly not happy. Their favorite teacher is leaving. Everything just doesn't seem to be going right. And here they go to their mail and there's a letter from you. And they think, I really did like them. They were pretty good. Now you got the wheels turning, right? Next month, same thing happens. Now you have this person thinking about, I haven't been happy here. this center has really just kept up. They've really followed up and just followed along with me, and I really just haven't been too happy. So now you've got them thinking. So just because someone doesn't sign up in that first 6 months doesn't mean they're not going to be your client. I see it all the time. So that's why you want to stay in the forefront of their mind. The other thing is people have multiple children, right? This is another one I see a lot of. With their first child, they might have gone to this program and maybe would never just left. But their second child, it may have been enough that, I liked him, but kind of would like to try something different. So maybe we should go to this other center. So something I really want you guys to just really think about is that A, they may change later, and B, they'll have more than one kid. And if they do, having those multiple centers or email campaigns that keeps you in that forefront of their mind, right? They still haven't forgotten you. They still see that you're consistent and you're not going away. So that's another reason why I like to go 5 years. I know it sounds crazy, but if you're always on their mind, it's amazing. Creating urgency too is huge in that area. Once I hit waitlist status, it's amazing how many people suddenly just really wanted to get into my center. There were people who were just like, maybe next month. But once it got around that we were at a waitlist status, everybody suddenly wanted a spot. We just became, oh my gosh, you've got to get into. There's something about humans and being able to obtain something that's hard to get, right? So when you get to that status and you create enough urgency, and people will try harder to get into your center, and it does become easier to enroll. It's getting there, which you guys can do it. You can absolutely do it by following these methods that I've taught you this week. So I hope this has been helpful to you guys. I hope you guys really do start a follow-up campaign. Again, if you have any questions at all, feel free to DM me. If you have any comments, please comment here in the comments, or you can ask your questions here in the comments. And again, I will be posting a link for consultations in the Facebook page. So if you would like a consultation with me and talk about our membership, if there's something we can do to work together, just let me know. I would be more than happy to schedule something with you guys. And by the way, we're a week away from Christmas. I hope everybody's as excited as I am. It is my favorite time of year. I love the season so much. If you haven't watched, a couple weeks ago I explained in one of the videos why I love it so much. It's just a magical season. Childhood goes by so quickly. It's just here and it's gone. Just, the average human lives 85 years, but that innocence and magic of childhood only lasts about 10 years, right? So out of an 85-year life, only 10 years is filled with magic. So here in early childhood education, if we can give children that magic, if we can make sure that we're creating an environment and just a season of absolute magic for them, why wouldn't we do that for them? So that's why I just love Christmas, because there's so many lives that I can create magic for during this time. I can just make it this memorable, magical time. So I hope that's something I can make contagious to other childcare centers. Well, I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend before Christmas. I hope you guys are done with your shopping and you don't have to do too much. And I will see you guys Monday morning, hopefully, for our Mindset Monday. Thank you.